Right. Hello, everyone. It's Michelle Maher here, and I'm joined with Diane Lauzon this morning. Thank you so much, Diane, for giving me your time to talk about what we've been going through and the current environment and going forward and keeping a positive mindset and pivoting in your life and your business. So, thank you. If you want to give us a few words about who you are and what you are all about.
Absolutely. I'm excited. I'm excited. I hope a nugget or two comes out of this for sure. Yeah, my name is Diane. And I actually am an inspirational writer and author. I write under my pseudonym, Lucy Smiles. So I've been writing for over 13 years and helping to inspire people to actually, ironically enough, I think I set myself up for COVID. No, but helping people to look at life through the blessings rather than the burdens. And so really being able to shift mindset and so that's a passion of mine that I've been writing again under Lucy Smiles. And I've been working over the last 5 years around health and how to amplify our energy with health. So I've been working with the power of pure therapeutic ketones, leading global community around overall better health and wellness. And from my own personal story, because if you don't feel so great, it's hard to do great things. So really everything around, mind, body, and spirit.
Oh, right. And that's so, as we know now, we realize how important this whole how important it is, and the power of the mind is incredible, and they keep doing more research, and more research is coming out all the time on what our minds can do for
Mhm.
us and how our minds can heal our bodies as well. So as I was saying before, I really started these interviews at the beginning. We thought we were going to be shut down for a couple 3 weeks or whatever, then a month, maybe 2 months, maybe we'd be back to quote unquote normal, as people were calling it, back by May. And of course, now we're at December. And so we've been through an emotional roller coaster. At least I know I've definitely felt that. In the beginning was a lot of fear, which I was able to step out of and step into action by starting this interview series so that we can, it's so important that we do spread the message that it's all in what, there's things we can do, but there's things we can't do anything about. And but we always have the power of how we look at things and what we think. So
Absolutely.
what has your experience been like over the last 10 months now?
I know it's hard to even think of that one. I forgot that there was the whole 2 week thing. I forgot that we thought,
Yeah.
what are we going to do 2 weeks? Really? Now we're at 10 months and into the new year. So
Yeah.
for me, I think it was important. If I look back on my processing of all of this over the last 10 months and still processing, was that I think it's really important to be kind to ourselves. I know that I went through for myself, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, just that processing part, right? Like what's happening. And
Oh
then
yeah.
being comfortable with being uncomfortable. And really, for me, it was taking the time to say, okay, how am I feeling? What's going on? And also the power of the pause, but don't put a pause on your life. And so one thing that I had noticed is, we had a conversation around like people just waiting for the normal to come. And now we know that 2 weeks turned into 10 months. So having a time to pause, I think was super important for me. What are the priorities that I've been focused on, and having that opportunity. It's hard to say we have an opportunity here, but an opportunity to pause, but not put a pause on my life. And one thing for me, as you and I were mentioning as well, we love to network, right? We're building relationships, and so how can we pivot that into the online realm, which is never going to be going away, and being able to use the adapting of what we're going through, I think has been super important. And I think that influence in who we're surrounding ourselves while we're going through this is also very important as well.
Oh, definitely. And when you talk about being comfortable, being uncomfortable, that's what it really is all about. And that is such a skill that we as entrepreneurs need. Just like the whole concept of pivoting is something that we have to be ready to do all the time.
Yeah,
Not just with COVID,
yeah,
but rather just you have to be pivoting your business as it changes and it evolves, and as you change and evolve. And the the idea that everything was shut down and the distractions removed gave everybody that chance to take that pause. And it made some people very uncomfortable because we're not used to being, being with ourselves. And a lot of people don't like to be with themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally
So,
agree. Hmm.
yeah, yeah,
Another thing that I was just thinking about as well too about the pivot is what I've noticed for my own business as an entrepreneur is really like looking at the opportunity. So I've obviously, just as such as yourself and all of the entrepreneurs out there that were utilizing networking to build relationships, right? Was pivoting that into the virtual realm. And I've actually had an opportunity to build a lot of really strong, really close bonds with, I'll call it women, because my I work with quite a few women, to really nurture those relationships and to really take the opportunity to also learn how to support other people in business, right? And so I think if there was anything that I think was a driving force for me was like having that hand of support and saying, how can I support you, with how you're pivoting, right? And it's almost like creating that support system. But definitely having opportunities to meet women, have virtual coffees, learn what they're going through, and having that influence and that support, because we are meant to have tribes, right? And so how can we create a tribe that's going to be in this specific environment, which is virtual?
right. Yes. And collaborations and community coming together has been something that we have seen.
Yeah.
At the beginning, it was a lot of community coming together to support each other in terms of getting groceries for the seniors or doing things for other people who shouldn't be going outside, into spaces and things like that. And then online, everybody coming online, offering their knowledge and webinars and free, you know, free conferences and things like that to the point where it was overwhelming at one point
Right. I was going to say,
because for
hmm,
me, for somebody who wants to, who has, that desire to learn and grow and do a lot of the personal growth, there was so
yeah,
much out there that it you could be doing it
overwhelming.
all day, and of course you can only do so much because you need that time to process in between.
It's true because again, so like for my own self as well, I've been using Zoom for business for the last 5 years.
Right.
And so I thought, well, this is nothing new to me. However, then I saw a Facebook post around an article for Zoom fatigue. And I realized, I'm like, wow, I've never for 5 years had Zoom fatigue. I actually have Zoom fatigue because I was filling my schedule with the awesome webinars, with the awesome different tools and learnings and all of those things, which were great. However, I had to also take a step back and say, like, not to overwhelm, right? And I get it's all growth. And I think even speaking of that is also having the compassion and the kindness for other people during this, no matter what their beliefs are. And I think that we're all wondering what's going on. And I really believe that. And ironically enough, a memory from Facebook came up this morning for me, 10 years ago memory. And it was, I don't even know if I read or wrote the quote or just posted it, so I can't take credit. And it says the opposite of injustice is not justice, it's love. And I think right now, if we can just give that extra level of love to ourselves and to others, no matter what we're all trying to figure out or what we all believe, I think would be huge, because we all just need a little bit of extra support right now. And I just think that that's so valuable during these times.
Definitely, that is something that we all need. As we know, the biggest judge of ourselves is usually ourselves, our own talk, and we have to give ourselves grace and to realize that we are going through some trying times, and there is a lot of uncertainty out there, and it is an emotional roller coaster. So we have to just give ourselves the self-love that we need to say that we are doing the best we can. And
Yeah,
same with everyone else, just spread the love, that love and kindness and support for one another.
yeah, and it is a lot of pivoting. 'Cause, just thinking about what we did before and then what we're doing now, going back to even
Yeah.
keeping yourself healthy. So I loved how I was keeping myself healthy was going to my morning yoga. starting my day off with that. And, I loved going out to the community to do that early in the morning. And then, keeping your nutrition, your immunity high and your nutrition, stellar, and going to the gym and all of those things, yoga and gyms are now home yoga and home gyms. And I just think, again, it goes back to being kind to yourself. If you need a little break while you're pivoting, not getting upset if you're having the cheesecake for lunch, but noticing those things so that you can be in a level of awareness to allow yourself some leeway, but also to not get so off track, right? And I think that's, again, where the influence comes in, maybe even having accountability partners. I know I have a couple of accountability partners that I work with, not to try to be perfect. We all say this in the entrepreneurial world, is like, don't mess up progress for perfection. So I always say, like, if you just move forward, even if it's sloppy, right? But making sure that we are taking care of our health, and we are taking care of our mindset, because I do believe we are what we eat, drink, and think. You were mentioning that earlier. You
Yes.
can be super healthy and nutritious and all the vegan and plant-based and beautiful nutrient-dense foods, but if your thoughts are dense, it's not going to, there's no one size fits all. So I think just finding what works for our own self, and having that leeway to be kind to ourselves through this, because 10 months is a long time. I also noticed for myself, and I'm not sure if you feel the same way, Michele, was I noticed the residual impact of how it was affecting me. So I think in October, I had these strange two weeks where I started to realize that maybe I wasn't processing what has been happening. And I was shocked. I didn't know what I was going through. But I allowed myself to go through it. I didn't try to jump myself out of it. And I think it's really important. Like, if you're not feeling 100%, allow that to be okay. And know that nothing is permanent, right? And you're going to get through it. But it was something that I realized for myself, that I think you have, looking at, okay, well, what am I doing with my day? Maybe I'm not doing the workouts like I used to. Maybe I'm not taking time to pause and do those things. And just having that level of awareness for yourself, I think, is really important as well.
Right. Yes. Yeah, for sure. And I think that goes to the fact that so many things have happened, and we have to realize that, and that, realize that, and feel these emotions that we're going through,
Mhm.
and think, because it really, we've been through a lot, and so you could, yeah, I think none of us expected to still be here this long either. So that's, I think, another aspect of it. And now heading into winter and everything like that, it is, some people are having some real difficulty with it. So you have to really give yourself grace to accept that, like you say, moving forward, even baby steps, as long as you are
Yeah.
moving forward.
Yeah. And like you had mentioned as well, about habits, right? So we have, how can we create healthy habits, and how can we take a look and see things that weren't serving us before? So I think it's
Yeah.
an opportunity, and I use the word opportunity because it is an opportunity for so many things. And we were talking about just, again, like, the opportunity to build relationships where you wouldn't have had relationships before, learn new things, join new groups, not overwhelm yourself with those things. So that you have some time, some breathing space, I think, is really important as well too. Meditation for me has been a game changer as well too. I notice the difference of, if I don't gift myself the power of meditation in the morning. So finding something, and again, people think meditation an hour, 10 to 15 minutes is all that I do for meditation, and it shifts my perception. It actually grounds me for my day. And I think right now, if there was, any tips, I would say, tools, is find a simple meditation to gift yourself in the morning, so that you can set your day. Because again, I was on a 3-day conference, a leadership conference, the last 3 days. I haven't left my house for 3 days. So I take the opportunity when I can to create something where I can go for a walk, and everyone has different rules and regulations of where they can go. But making sure you have that sense of balance. I think balance is an overused word. A sense of, offering yourself the times that you can reset your energy. Right. So.
Yeah, exactly. And we definitely need that. Again, going back to what you were saying, how people are working out in their homes, you're doing your work in your homes, the kids are learning in their homes, you're eating in your home, and you're relaxing your, like, everything. You need to to get outside, whatever you can do just for the grounding and the recharging, because nature really revitalizes us. And that's another side of things too, in terms of meditation. That also can be kind of a meditative process. Going for a walk,
Yeah.
and just sitting and being in nature. It doesn't mean that you have to, sit and listen to a guided meditation or things like that. You could do a walk like that into nature and just,
Yeah.
observe and look at the trees and take it all in.
I think that's so empowering. Like that you just said that is so powerful because you could say, what does meditation look like for me? So, for me, it
Yeah.
is loving the morning dog walks, right? Like early in the morning, the moon's still out. So meditation, like you said, because the only thing that works is the tools that we use, right? So some people even, no matter what it is, if 1 hour of meditation in your meditation space works for you, that's fabulous. But if
Yeah.
you feel like it's a job, it's kind of counterintuitive to the power of meditation. So I think that's so brilliant. And I think
Right.
sometimes it's journaling. Maybe you're meditative journaling. Maybe you are standing, just breathing the air, opening your back door for 5 minutes. So I think it is important for people to know that there's a lot of different ways you could do a lot of different things. It just has to be what's best for you and not looking at your neighbor. Like, I think also another thing too that was huge is not comparing yourself to other people, what they're doing, utilizing tools and, delivering certain things for yourself that are going to help you, but not also just comparing yourself to what other people are doing that works for them may not work for you.
Right, because there's no right way or wrong way.
Yeah.
Another place that I find, because people always get really stuck on the word meditation and think it's people sitting in silence, cross-legged or something like that. But you can also in the shower, really. I know a lot of ideas have come to me, and your thoughts can, you can do meditation in the shower as well. So
Yeah, it's so true. The other thing I was thinking too, I'm actually fasting for 60 hours, so but I was thinking of food, is finding like cooking, doing something fun or baking something that's
right.
healthy, learning those things because we're at home. And so taking some time to be off of our screens, because again, going back to that,
Yes. Yeah.
oh my gosh, like we need to get off of our screens so that we could be our best when we're having to be on our screens, especially on our phones. As entrepreneurs as well too, is like we're always on our phones, right? And so I think taking that time to be doing tactical things, which is also meditative, finding a new fun recipe, finding, trying something new that you've never done before, I think is really huge. Finding something that's a hobby that would be powerful for us to get off of our screens, I think is really important.
Yeah, exactly. Going back to what you were saying before, that's what I was finding too when I was on, joining everything so that I was on on the screen 8 hours, 10 hours a day or something, even into the evening. And that's not that's not healthy for any of us. Going back to before, I believe that before, the way we were living our lives was not necessarily congruent with a meaningful life, living our life of passion. A lot of it was just very unconscious, doing the same routine, rushing from place to place, and it was glorifying busy. As we know, society, I would catch myself saying, "Oh, I'm too busy, I'm too busy." And
Mhm.
it was all, busy didn't mean you were doing
Right.
anything productive
Exactly.
or that was fulfilling you and
Yeah.
filling you with purpose.
Yeah, it's true. I think that there's a lot of, the whole busyness thing too is just, I don't want to be too busy. I like to use the word fully engaged. So if I look at what I'm doing, if I'm fully engaged in that, is that productive? Right. And so absolutely what you said is taking a look and seeing like, what are we engaging in our time? What did our calendars look like before? And just taking a look and being mindful of, is that actually working? So I think it's like COVID
Mm,
kind of being a mirror to like look at yourself and say, okay, I need to take a look at, what have I been eating? How, what have I been putting in front of my face in terms of influence? What have I been utilizing my time doing? And then taking some time to take a look at that and doing some revamping, pivoting and revamping, saying no to a couple of things that maybe you didn't realize was actually, because one of the things that we know is when you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else. right?
Right.
It's always, it's always going to be opportunity cost, right? So that for me was a huge thing as well too. How do I want to show up for myself? And then I can then show up for other people. The other thing I wanted to also mention as well that is so important is our sleep. So one thing that I find has been working for my husband and I is we turn our Wi-Fi off at night. Right, I turn my phone right off. I was having a conversation with someone who said that they wake up in the morning or they wake up in the middle of the night and they're on their phones to get back to sleep. And I said, maybe if you consider not looking at your phone before you sleep, you probably won't wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So there are certain things that I've learned are like, wow, so we turn our Wi-Fi off. I do my best to not be staring at my screen before bed. I'm not perfect. But I noticed that has created a better, deeper sleep for me so that I can be more rested because we're not out and about anymore. We're wake up, get ready, and we're here, right? Turn the screens on. And I think that
Yeah.
movement opportunity and off-screen Wi-Fi and just having that off for our sleep, I think it's changed my life. It's just really helped me to be more productive during the day.
Yeah, well, there's all kinds of research about what it can do to your brain, and so that you can't relax and you can't get to sleep, you don't get the same sleep, etc. So yeah, definitely that's another thing. And the fact is that, like you say, you get up in the morning and you go to whatever room you're working in, and that's it. And
Yeah.
that's the other difficult thing for a lot of people. Um, a lot of people don't know when to turn off, and that's happening for people who work in corporate who are actually
Oh my gosh.
working from home,
Hmm.
and as opposed to entrepreneurs who have always done that.
Yeah, they're not leaving the office. The office is not going anywhere. So I think it's
Yes, so that's been a challenge for some of the people, and I think from that perspective, some people are turning on, logging in at night or on the weekends with some time that, spending time working that they wouldn't have otherwise.
yeah,
So it's really important to kind of figure out some way to signify that that's the end of the work day,
yeah.
whether it be putting your stuff into a box if you don't actually have an office that you can close the door.
Yeah. And also, I don't have kids, but I know I work with a lot of, women who have children. And I think it's really important as well. I just had this other thought as well, is just the communication. So I think it's really important for us to be communicating with those that we're living with, right? Like, how are you feeling? Having the dinners, having the time that we're having some sacred time, and creating that ceremonial family connection. Because again, you could have the dad and the mom, and we're all on the thing, and the kids are doing the at home, the schooling. It can get really crazy. And I think we could just slow down and say, let's have some time to connect, right? Because there's an opportunity for people to be
Yes.
connected, not just trying to get everything done, get to bed and rinse, repeat, but to slow down and to take that pause and to see how people are feeling during this completely new way of living our life is really important. Because we know I do a lot of work, obviously, with mental health and emotional well-being. So that for me is everything too. We know the rise of the stress and the challenges that people are having with their mental health. I think it comes down to like that connection and that communication for people so that they don't feel alone. We know we're not alone, but sometimes you don't realize how alone we actually feel. Even in a crazy house filled with 5 people just trying to do whatever they need to do is communicating and speaking with each other, I think is really important.
Yeah, definitely it is, and it because it also has affected everybody differently. Everybody processes things differently as well, and so many things were changed. Well, I mean, like everything was changed all at once.
Yeah.
For some people more than others, depending on what your situation is. But for, when you talk about the kids, especially at the beginning when they came home and, and
Oh,
not seeing friends and everything like that, especially for the teenagers,
yeah.
that had a huge impact on them.
So it's crazy. I can't imagine. So I think it's really important as well too that we can get really busy trying to get stuff done, but I think that communicating and seeing how people are feeling, and then also having fun, right? So that was another thing for me that I thought is so important. um you get all into like what you have to do and the priorities that we forget to have fun. And I think that's also so important, is to have that, to make sure that you're bringing in that joy every day. And it doesn't have to be something huge, right? We're not going to the circus. But
Right.
where can you bring joy in your day? Where can you, and random acts of kindness, I think, is also really important too. So again, I think it's just, how can we be in a level of awareness of how we're feeling, being in a level of awareness of how other people are feeling, and where can we help other people through what we're going through, I think is huge. And I love the platform that you have. I think it's so powerful, is what you said, is what can I do in this to pivot to positivity and to create
Yeah.
something where we can have community, because community is always going to be everything. It's just different now, right? So
Right. And it is so different. And we, as humans, we crave connection with each other.
yeah,
And so it's, that's why it's so great that we do have this technology that we could use to continue to have this, connection and community. But the um rather than stepping back and, being by ourselves, that's why it's so important that we do get engage in conversations like this and spread the message of positivity out there, and think of what we can do, because there's so much that we can't do as things have changed and things have shifted. So how can we do things to continue this sense of community and connecting with one another?
yeah, I think it's great. I love that my mom's on Zoom now for, so that for me is like a win, right? So it's so funny because I never Zoomed with my mom before, before COVID, and now she's got her iPad and we're teaching her how to do Zoom. I think it's really powerful. So, I think that just the family
Yeah.
and how to pivot that over the holidays, whatever that looks like for people who may not be, coming together at the holidays, whatever that looked like, finding the joy in that, right? And supporting our families through that as well too.
Yeah, so many seniors, so many grandparents are now have learned Zoom as well, and have adopted, so many people have adopted so much technology. I think that from that perspective, our learning curve on certain things, for some people, it was accelerated as well, just because that was the only choice. You couldn't say, I don't like technology, I don't want to be a part of it anymore.
Yeah. It's interesting too, is like knowing that we're all one, right? So I just thought of something as well too. So when COVID
Hmm.
first happened, my husband and I were driving. We were living in Burlington, and we were driving down the street, and we were driving, we're at a red light, and then there's another, on the other side of the road, they're at the red light about to go past us. So we're both at the red light, and I said to my husband, I said, it's so crazy that we're sitting here and they're there, our own cars, but we both know that we have the same things on our mind. And I thought, isn't that crazy? We don't know who they are, but we know that we both have the same thing on our mind. And I thought, that's where I got chills. Like we are all in this together. Like we have to show up for each other, show up for ourselves first. But it was just a powerful thing where we have to stay connected, whatever that looks like, right? If you're thinking about a friend, call them, right? I love, even a voice memo on Facebook, whatever works. And, it's just really important. I think that we just stay connected and we just reach out where we can. A lot of people, are suffering financially, but they've lost their jobs, mom and pop shops, for 50 years. And now it's crazy. And I
Yeah.
really also believe that we were not all meant to suffer, because there are the people that can, hold the hands and help out. So we're all in different experiences as we're going through this. So if we can hold out a helping hand, how can we do that, right? Especially over the holidays. I think it's where can we do just a little bit? So if a lot of us are doing just a little bit, that's a lot, and I think that's really important right now.
Yeah, and we need to remember the fact that it just takes one person.
Yeah,
The You don't have that mentality that there's nothing I can do. What I do will be so little it won't matter, but it does matter. It's all a snowball effect.
it
Look
is.
at how everything was shut down so quickly, and how the corporations came, send everybody home working from home, but we're able to, in a matter of days, get everything up and running fine and with no problems, and everything going on like that. So
Yeah,
if you just flip it around, instead of thinking of how everything got shut down and everything was closed, just think of how we can create something new.
Yes.
And it all starts with one person.
Yeah.
And then there's a ripple effect, as you say, because we are all connected. And we
Yeah.
need to remember that we are all connected as well. We're all connected to the earth, which is another side of things in terms of, this happening in the first place. We were just look at all the things that were happening around the world from an environmental perspective,
Hmm.
and with the fires that were right before COVID.
Yeah.
It's like Mother Nature just said, "That's it. Enough's enough.
Yeah.
You need to stop." Because we're not here to um, sorry, we're not here to use all the resources of the earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. It is. We're co-creating, and we need to be mindful not just of our relationships with each other, ourselves, but 100% um, with the earth. I actually did a forest bathing with a beautiful woman who, at the botanical gardens in Hamilton, was teaching us about bathing in the forest. It's a philosophy, like a Japanese philosophy, and just the vibration of that, like going and actually hugging a tree and feeling the vibration of everything is alive, and the relationships that the trees have with each other. And then it was such a great experience. And I think that was something that allowed me to also get grounded, about Mother Earth and how we are all connected and how one supports the other, right? How are we supporting everything, including that? So it was wonderful.
Right, which is something that we need to be mindful of going forward as we create whatever new practices we're going to, whether it's our daily habits,
Hmm.
whether it's the corporations and how they're going to go back to business when people go back to office buildings and things like that, and just everything. The school system is another story that and the long-term care homes. This just as we were saying before, this really magnified a lot of problems that were already existing,
Yeah.
that it brought to light,
Yeah.
and where we need to make changes and positive changes going forward.
Yeah. It's like a magnifying glass for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really what it's been, and it has also forced a lot of people into change,
Hmm.
out of their comfort zone,
Yes.
where they didn't, things like people would say that they always wanted to do this, always wanted to do
Right.
that,
Yeah.
and never bothered. And of course,
Yeah.
in this time, yeah. And going back to what you were saying before about time as well, and how you were filling your schedule, the fact is that we have the same 24 hours in a day,
Yeah.
before COVID and now after. So, how do you want to spend your 24 hours?
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of people are looking at into taking care of themselves,
Yeah.
like you were saying about the health side of things.
It's so important. And it changes over time. So being flexible as well too. That was something for sure for me as well, is giving myself that time in the morning before I check my phone. It's just, so now for me, again, not perfect, but for the most part, I do what I need to do. And then I open up for other people. And I think that if you can do that, it just makes a huge difference. And there are going to be exceptions, right? There are going to be days where you have to get going. But how can we work ourselves into a structure that works for us? And even with structure, right? So a lot of times we're like running around with our heads cut off, is like creating something that we can at least block some time. So one of the things that I noticed, and I was on a mastermind last week with some fabulous women, and saying, we want, a lot of the times, and I'll call it women, when we're doing something, maybe we're hanging out with our family or we're doing something that's not work wise, a lot of the times we give ourselves this like feeling of guilt, like I should be doing my business, I should be, but one of the things that I thought was a great tool that we chatted about is, if you block off the things that you need to do, then when you're not having to do them, you're in present moment. Like you could be fully present with your kids, not feeling resentful because the follow-ups are not getting done, but really allowing yourself to have those present moment times that that you've allocated the things, the priorities in a specific area of your week, if it is, so that you can be present with your kids. You could be present for going for a meditative walk, right? You could be present baking a cake, and knowing that you're not taking from anything else while you're doing it. Because I think living in the present moment is a huge thing for people. And a lot of times our brains are just, scrolling around like crazy with all of those other things that we should be doing, that it's kind of counterintuitive to taking that time if we're not
Yeah,
present.
right.
Yeah.
Because the fact is with that, our brains going around thinking of all the things we should be doing, uh, it's not productive
No.
in the end. And doing that, I've heard a lot about time blocking
Yeah. Yeah.
and how, and shutting off your phone so that you only focus on one thing at a time and get that done,
Yeah.
how effective that practice is.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you can hear my dog in the background. I think the UPS drivers here. It's always fun.
Oh,
Parking away. Yeah.
I yeah. So did and you so in terms of your business and how you have pivoted it, were you doing things in person before that you brought online, or you were already using Zoom as you said?
Yeah. So for me, I loved the networking component in building relationships. So I loved being in person.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
also for me, the work that I do is global. So a lot of my teams and communities are all around the world. So I was still utilizing that.
Yeah.
And then for me, just pivoting the networking and pivoting the building of relationships online has been, obviously is 100% now, which has been fabulous because again, when you go to a networking event, you don't get a chance to really talk to a lot of people. And now you're able to be on a Zoom, connecting with more people and finding things, people that you want to connect with, learning about their business and saying, I need their business. Or I know someone that needs their business, and then just being able to come off of offline. So I think it's been powerful, actually. Like I feel like I've really taken an opportunity to learn a lot more about a lot more people than maybe I would have in the past.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that as well. It's almost like it's been more effective
Yes.
networking.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is we've had more deeper conversations, I find, on Zoom, which is really counterintuitive. But I feel like in some cases, the conversations we've avoided the standard of talk about the weather or the drive to the event or something like that,
Totally.
and that we've gotten right into talking about having more meaningful conversations, and like you say, learning about people, learning about their business. And also what I have heard from other people, the feeling that it's more intimate because you are actually getting to see the person in their
Yeah.
home environment as well.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And of course, the whole global side of things, because now we can connect with anybody.
Yeah.
Um, Not that we couldn't have before.
We just never really thought about
We
it.
just didn't.
Light bulb.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and now we can, and I know so many people that have connected with others
Yeah.
and around the globe, and expanded their business as such
Yeah.
too.
Absolutely. And it's been amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much,
Thank you.
Diane, for your time to
Yeah.
talk about everything.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It was awesome. And I
Um,
wish you all the best for the holidays and in the new year. Oh, there's my puppy. On
I see your
ready for a
tail.
puppy walk. Ready for my meditative puppy walk. So it's perfect.
Yeah. Well, I understand that the dogs are very happy with
They're so happy.
with everybody being home and taking them on walks and everything like that. And of course, so many people have adopted
I know.
dogs over this period of time too. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
and it's great because that gets you out into
It
walking
keep moving. That's for sure.
and yeah, exactly. So thank you so much. I will put your
Thank you.
information up underneath this as well, and
Absolutely. That's so great.
all the best for the holidays. And I look forward to when we can see each other in person again.
Absolutely. Thank you, Michelle.
All right, thank you.